Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Travis Leo. I'm one of the co-founders of Tracknicity, and I'd like to spend the next 30 minutes walking you through a brief overview of Tracknicity, along with a demonstration of the iOS app and the online dashboard. What is Tracknicity? So Tracknicity is a new mobile application for both iOS and Android that's designed for field workers and installation technicians who handle parts and inventory for customers. So really any company that operates in what we like to call a hybrid inventory model, where you might have parts that you keep in stock, for a job or for a repair, but you buy a lot of parts specifically for a client job. So it seamlessly integrates with QuickBooks, both desktop and online. You can use either one in just one click. And it's really ideal for any industry, as I mentioned earlier, that deals in that kind of hybrid inventory. AV, landscaping, plumbing, electrical, security, pool maintenance, etc. Key features of Tracknicity: it gives you full inventory management functionality from an iOS device. You're not using custom barcode scanners. You're not using custom software. You're using the tools that your field team already has today. It integrates natively with QuickBooks, as I mentioned, both desktop and online, using the QuickBooks API. So your data that's in QuickBooks is directly linked into Tracknicity. You're not creating a separate database or managing a separate application. You've got multi-location capabilities, so you can do as many locations as you want, whether it's warehouses, vans, trucks, staging areas, etc. Gives you the ability to do mobile barcode scanning and serial number tracking. So using the iOS camera app, you can scan barcodes, you can scan serial numbers, and then track those serial numbers so you know what serial number is installed at what client's home or what MAC address, or there's also some free-form capabilities that you can put in there. So it gives you that tracking capability, again, that links back to QuickBooks, so you have a permanent record of what's installed where. Your field technicians can check parts in and out from an iOS device. They can also make custom requests that can go to the purchasing manager or the warehouse person if they need something that may not be a stock item. Maybe they need a tool delivered to a job site, or they need a miscellaneous part. They can do custom requests. There are user configurable notifications, so you can set up who receives notifications. So if you want to set up a notification to get notified when a certain part arrives for a job, or when a certain piece comes into stock, you can set those up. And then there's full reporting and history capabilities by employee and by job. When we set out to create Tracknicity, we really modeled it after what T-Sheets does for time management. We tried to do the same thing for inventory management. So if you're at all familiar with T-Sheets, T-Sheets did a lot for our AV company in terms of saving us time and energy. In terms of time tracking, we tried to do the same thing with inventory management. Graphically speaking, what we tried to do was move from what we were doing on the left to what we were doing on the right. So what you see on the left is our AV company's previous way of tracking inventory. It was full of spelling errors and difficult to read, and it was a clipboard that sat in our office, and we said there has to be a better way to do this. So that's how we ultimately ended up coming up with Tracknicity. At the same time that we developed Tracknicity, and it's designed for small businesses, we wanted it to be very affordable. We didn't want it to cost thousands and thousands of dollars. We had looked at solutions like that for our company, and it just didn't make sense. And so we wanted this to be very, very affordable to end users. So you can see the rough pricing here. Most companies that have adopted Tracknicity are in the standard or premier category. So in the premier category, for $2,400 a year, $200 a month, you have unlimited inventory items, unlimited mobile application usage, projects, notifications, storage, and support. It's a very value-based solution. It's a lot less than a lot of the other solutions that are out there, and it can add a tremendous amount of value to your business. What problems does Tracknicity solve? First of all, it eliminates the need for clipboards, emails, and Post-it notes. That's how most companies like ours were managing inventory: clipboards, emails, Post-it notes. This gets rid of that. It automates everything. It puts it in a very easy to use fashion. Gives your folks already have iOS or Android devices, so let them use that to manage their inventory. It tells everybody what product is in stock and notifies the people when that product arrives. So previously we had one person who used QuickBooks. They were the only one who knew what was in stock. Now with Tracknicity, everybody not only knows what's in stock, but they know where it is. They have a history behind it so they can see full tracking of all of that. It eliminates that do we have that in stock phone call that always costs us time and money. Previously, we'd have a service technician out of a client's home and then need to know, do we have a certain product in stock? They would call the office would transfer that person to our warehouse person. The warehouse person would go back into the warehouse and check and come back. And next thing we know, we've wasted 15 minutes answering a very simple question. Tracknicity eliminates the need to do that. And it also makes it incredibly easy to show when parts have been delivered to a job site. So if you want to track, hey, what's been delivered to a job site so that you know that you can bill for it, or just having an audit log, it easily shows you who took what part and when it went to the job site. Serial number tracking is a big piece that Tracknicity solves. Not only can you scan it directly from the iOS or Android device, but it also syncs directly with QuickBooks and keeps that inventory log there forever. So if you want to be able to track what MAC address is at a certain location or what serial number is, if a client calls and says, hey, this has failed, I need a replacement, instead of rolling a truck to get the serial number, you can look it up in Tracknicity because you scanned it when you installed it. So by giving every employee a free barcode scanner and the ability to track serial numbers, it can greatly reduce truck rolls. Makes project reconciliation at the end very quick and easy. Everything's automated and syncs directly with QuickBooks. So when you want to run a job cost, anything that's been checked out of Tracknicity shows up in the job cost. And what that does is it makes sure you get paid for all the parts you used on the job. This was something that we as a company weren't doing very, very well. And we said there's got to be a better way. And ultimately, it's easy to deploy. That's one of the problems that Tracknicity solves. We recognize that new software is difficult. It's a change to business process. So we designed this to be very easy to do and very easy to deploy. Customers that have adopted Tracknicity have gone through an onboarding session and within a day been up and running with a couple of technicians. It's not very difficult to do. It's a web-based application, which I'm going to get into now. Okay, I'd now like to move to a demonstration of the app and web demo for Tracknicity. So what I've done here is I've brought up my iPhone, and what you can see on the screen here this is just a regular iPhone 11, nothing special. So up here is my sort of key areas. So within here, I can go to the dashboard, I can conduct a transaction, I can see serial number and item detail, I can look at inventory, and I can go into admin functions. So if I start here on the dashboard, first thing I can see here is the project. So if I click here, it brings up any open projects in QuickBooks. So again, this syncs directly with QuickBooks. If a new project gets added to QuickBooks, it would show up in here. I can go in here and I can look right here and I can see a quick budget versus actuals of the job. So I can see that we had a budget of 95 hours. We've used 32 hours. So right now we're 63 hours under budget. And I know that because I put that estimate into QuickBooks with the number of hours in the job, and the time tracking flows directly back into QuickBooks. So I'm just getting a quick view out here of how we're doing on that job. The main function here of the dashboard is the checkout functionality. So if I go here and I go to checkout, I'm going to bring up my from and my to location. This is pretty straightforward. From is where's the part going from. Most of the time it's going from the warehouse. Maybe it's van stock that's going out to a client's home, or maybe it's the staging area. And I'll show you that in just a minute. But for most of the transactions, it's going to be the warehouse. And where it's going to, maybe it's going from the warehouse to van one or different van. You would click here. Most of the time, it ends up going to a client. So when I go in here to client, again, it brings up all of my clients that live in QuickBooks. So if we start a new job tomorrow and we add a new client in QuickBooks, Tracknicity automatically syncs with QuickBooks and brings that data forward. So I go in here to Cindy Sparkles, I select the project. Maybe we have multiple projects, and this certainly supports that. Maybe you build multiple clients under a trade partner or builder or something that supports that. I click upgrade project, and from there, I have three options. I can either browse the items. So if I click browse items, it's going to bring up my QuickBooks inventory list. This is all the parts that live in QuickBooks. So if you're using, say for example, you're using D-Tools, and you sync DTools to QuickBooks. Anything that's in your DTools database will sync into QuickBooks, and therefore it will show up in Tracknicity. So I can go here to Control 4. I can say I want to take this C4 amp, and now I can see that that's on the request line here. Maybe I don't know exactly what it is. I've got the product in front of me and I need to scan it. So I click scan, brings up my barcode scanner. I scan the part and it does the same thing. Or maybe I just know that it's a Control 4 part and I just need to search it. So I just go in here and start typing and it brings up Control 4 using the search capability. From here, I can edit and jockey. I can edit and jockey things. So I can say I want, maybe I actually need 2 of those. So I click here for 2, maybe a 0. I realize this is all the same part. Maybe I need a custom item. Maybe it's not something that's in stock. So I can go in here and I can say, hey, I need from Liberty, I need some Cat 6 ends. And I hit add. Oops, there we go. And now that custom piece is added there. So when I go and hit submit here, that's going to move those parts from the warehouse to that project. So if I hit submit, I go in here, if I went and ran a job cost report in QuickBooks right now, it would show those parts as attached to that job. So that's how QuickBooks and Tracknicity stay in connection with each other. Going back into the checkout piece here to show you a different thing. Let's say it's an open job that we've got going for this client, as I mentioned there. We've bought parts specifically for that job that are staged for that client. So I click the staging area here, and I go to that same Cindy Sparkles project, go up to the upgrade project. It brings up a list of all the open purchase orders that are open in that job. So the product was bought, in this case, from Cisco for that project. I know that this product is sitting in the warehouse because it's been ordered for that job. And so the technician can say, I want to take this and I want to take this, but I'm only going to take one of these, for example, and then they're going to check them out. So still shows that there's a Crestron piece waiting to be checked out and another Ruckus access point waiting to be checked out. But now I have the audit history to show that this user was the one who took those other 2 parts to the job site. So the staging area functions as a way for a technician to easily check product out from that's designed specifically for a job and was bought for that job. Going back to the dashboard here, users can be assigned to certain vehicles. So in the admin portal, you can set up the vehicle that they're assigned to. I can quickly click in here and it'll show me what inventory lives on my van. So I can see that I've got a simple Cisco switch here. I can also go in and submit a request. So instead of previously where I was checking something out, maybe I need something delivered, or maybe I just need to let somebody know something. So instead of sending an email or a phone call, I can go in here to submit a request. So I've got van 11, and I can either go in and browse, scan, or search just like I did. But I'm going to need a custom request, and I need rip ties. I need rip ties. Type that in. I click add. Shows up. I go in here to submit. What you're going to see is you're going to see a notification pop up, and it shows that there's a new request from Travis Leo that van 11 needs 1 item. Well, I've also set myself up as the person who receives requests. So imagine you're the purchasing person. You get that request. You see this. You go in here to my requests. You see the request date was January 3rd. No ETA, 1 item. You go in, you click on it. What is it? It's from Travis Leo to van 11 on this date. I need rip ties. Okay, I can see that. Well, great. I'm the purchasing manager. I want to let Travis know that I've received that. So I click on this. I acknowledge it, and now Travis can see that the request to van 11 has been acknowledged. So I know, hey, my warehouse person got this, and he's going to get this for me. And a couple hours later, he goes back and he stages it. So he clicks right here, and next thing I know, Travis Leo has a notification that, hey, your request has been staged. So I know my rip ties are sitting there, ready to go when I come back to the warehouse. You could use freeform put in delivery. So he has real good 2-way communication and audit tracking capabilities, because I can go back into here and go to completed requests, and it shows a full list of the requests that have been completed, the date they were completed, who they were completed by, etc. There's a 2-week history here. You can see the ones that I just checked out here. So it shows the history of me as a user. I'll get into more of the functionality on the web dashboard where you can see that as well. So that's the dashboard and really the transaction function like we talked about. Serial number item detail. This is one of the most valuable pieces of Tracknicity. So let's say I'm getting ready to install a device at a client's home and I want to track the serial number. So I go in here to select the item. I can either browse, scan, or search. I'm just going to scan. So I happen to have a part right here. I scan the UPC code and it knows that it's that part right there. Now I have the ability to attach a serial number. I don't have to attach a serial number, but most of the time I want to. So I can either type in the serial number right here by doing that, or I can scan the serial number. So I'm going to scan the serial number. I'm going to take that same part that I had. I'm going to scan it, and now it already is there. It says, hey, you've already got this serial number because I've used that same product for demonstrations before. Would you like to override it? I'm going to say yes. But what that does is it prevents a duplication of serial numbers in your database. So now I'm going to say, okay, who's that serial number for? So I click here. I know it's for Cindy Sparkles. Again, this data comes straight out of straight out of QuickBooks. It's not a different data source. It's for Cindy Sparkles. It's for the upgrade project. I'm going to override it again. Now maybe I want to put in the MAC address. Maybe I want to track that, or I'm just going to put in test here. Maybe I want to track that it's in the master bedroom. And maybe I want to know that it's behind the TV, making all of this up, obviously. Now I go here to submit. And now that serial number data is going to be tracked, which you'll see here very shortly when we go to the web dashboard. So being able to scan serial numbers, determine where they go, any free field information, and tie it to a customer is a hugely valuable piece of Tracknicity. One of the core pieces of Tracknicity is the inventory. So again, I go in here. This syncs up straight with QuickBooks. So this is my inventory straight out of QuickBooks, my parts list out of QuickBooks. I go in here to Apple, and I go to Apple TV 4K. First thing you see here is cost and price. I'm set up as a user that's allowed to see cost and price. You have the ability, if you don't want your technicians to see cost or the like, to be able to restrict that from them. But as a user, I can see that here. I can also see the UPC code that I've learned in for this product. I click view locations here, and it's going to show me where my 9 Apple TVs are. So I've got 9 Apple TVs, 5 in the warehouse, 1 in this van, 3 in this van. I can see the history. So I can see that Jim Ford on this day, and this is a good example, this is green. You'll see this was a return. So this came back from the upgrade project to the warehouse. Tracknicity not only works to check out parts, but to check parts back in. So when you see a green here, that means that it was a return. The rest of these are ones that went from a warehouse to a job. This purple one here is an internal transfer. This went from the warehouse to van 1. So think of moving stock from location A to location B. I can go in here and edit the part right here if I have admin rights. Maybe there's a new UPC code. Maybe I need to edit my quantity because I did a physical inventory count and we don't have 9. I can easily go in here and say, oh, we actually don't have 5 of these, we have 6. I update it, and now my inventory shows a quantity of 10. So if I have admin rights, I can go in and do that. I can search my inventory. So instead of doing it, I just start typing in and it brings up all the Apple parts. Maybe I need a Cisco part and it starts bringing that up. So I can again see cost, price, the UPC, etc. I can also scan a part. So if I've got that same part and I need to know the details of it, I can see, I scan it, cost, price, UPC, history, etc. You get the drift. The last piece on here, whoops, excuse me. If I go back here, is the admin functions. I'll kind of skip through this. This basically just shows a history by user. There's more admin functions on the website. It also gives the ability to learn UPC codes. So if you want to learn your UPC codes, you can certainly do that. And also allows you to receive parts to a specific location when you're receiving parts in the warehouse. So with that, what I'd like to do is jump over to the dashboard, the online tool, and give you a chance to see what the web-based interface looks like. So what you see here is just a regular web browser. I'm using Google Chrome. You can use Firefox or any other browser. You log in here, and first thing you do is you go to inventory. So this is going to look very similar to what we saw on the device. I click Apple, shows the same inventory. I've got the ability up here to select active or archived items. Most of the time you're going to have active. I go in here, I can just see a little more detail. I can see the history of these parts, where they went out, where they went to. I can quickly see the locations. Maybe I don't care about that. I just hide it, and just makes it a little bit bigger. So I've got all that same information in here. Yeah, I can search if I know that I need a Cisco something. Whoops, can't type. Brings that up. I can go in here, and I can see that same history right there. Approvals. So one of the things we added when we invented Tracknicity was an approvals report. So as a user, I have the ability to go in here and make sure that these got checked out to the right job. So I can go in here and I can say, I want to approve this. Hey, this is wrong. I'm going to reject that because it went to the wrong job. So we have our warehouse person approve all of these before they actually hit the QuickBooks transaction, QuickBooks job cost. You don't have to do that, but you certainly can, and it's highly recommended just as a second control in the process. So I can go in here and do those approvals. I can filter approvals based upon the last time frame, whether they're approved, unapproved. I can show my rejected ones, etc. Serial number items, let me just close out of this here real quick. And detail lookup, this is very important. So if you remember that item we looked at earlier, that was for Cindy Sparkles. I already had her brought up here. So if I go back in here and I search for Sparkles and the upgrade project, you can see that transaction that we just did a few minutes ago. So it's that item with that serial number, the location, the MAC address, and the additional information behind the TV. I can see that somebody else had done something here. So I know right now that the Cindy Sparkles upgrade project, this product and this serial number is located behind the TV. This data is invaluable for customers, for companies when it comes to reducing truck rolls, being able to provide customer service without having to send a technician out there. I can search by serial number. I can search by item. So if I know that the item that I put in was a Control 4 amp piece, I can see all the Control 4 amp pieces that were put in. If I know the serial number, I can search that way as well, or I can search by customer. So lots of great functionality in here. This data, as I said, syncs directly with QuickBooks. So as long as that customer lives in QuickBooks, they're going to live in here, and you're going to be able to track that serial number information. The reports piece is the biggest piece of Tracknicity's online dashboard. So I go in here, I'm going to bring up that same Sparkles project that we've been looking at, and I'm going to run the report. On the left, you're going to see that same budget versus actuals report that we looked at. So I can see that we've used 32, we've got 63 hours remaining. But when I go in here to budget detail, I can actually see a little bit more. I can see that we've used 30 hours of our pre-wire, but we haven't used any install, and we've used 2 programming hours. So the way it gives me greater visibility into my hours tracking in here. The key piece to this, though, is the items piece. So if you remember when we looked at that job earlier, we showed that when we went to the staging area to check product out, it brought up a list of open purchase orders. So I can see here that we've ordered 1 Apple TV, we've received 1 Apple TV, and we've delivered 1 Apple TV for this job. I can see that we've ordered 1 of these, received 1, delivered. On these Ruckus R310 access points, I can see that we've delivered 3 of them. Well, maybe I want to get a little more information. So I can see that these were checked out on Friday, January 3rd by Travis Leo. I can go in here and I can see that this was checked out by that same person. But I can see that this was checked out on Tuesday, October 15th by a different person. So it gives me that tracking capability to be able to see who took what to the job site at what point. The bell here is used to set up notifications. So let's say that this part hadn't been received yet, and I'm the project manager, and I need to know when this part arrives so that I can finish up the job and we can build the project. I go in here and I click this button. As soon as that product arrives in the warehouse and gets received into QuickBooks, I'm going to get a notification telling me, hey, the Ruckus R310 for the Sparkles upgrade project has arrived. So I will know that product has come in. I don't need to rely on the warehouse person to tell me. I don't need to rely on somebody remembering that, hey, I have to tell Travis that part arrived. It will do it automatically. It's a huge time saver and lets people know exactly what shows up into the warehouse when. Items that are taken from stock show up in here as well. So if you, instead of buying the part for the job, you took it from stock, I can go in here and I can again see the history of when it was staged and delivered. If I click here, this one hasn't been delivered, item has not been checked out. So I can see quickly here that, yep, it's staged and not delivered. So I've got full capability. And again, all of this syncs directly with QuickBooks so that this information populates the job cost report in QuickBooks so that you can do the reconciliation at the end of the job and you can get paid for all of your parts. Inventory by location is pretty straightforward. You go in here to all items and it's going to bring up all your items. It shows you a quick calculation of your inventory as well. Maybe you care about what's in the warehouse, what's in van one. You can just go in here and see all of the detail. So what's nice about this is it just gives you that quick calculation so you can see what your inventory is. You've also got your history capability, very similar to what we looked at on the website, or excuse me, on the mobile app. I've got a few more filters here that I can use. I can certainly look at employees. Maybe I only care what Jim did for the last 6 months, and I select that and I can see his history. Maybe I care about what was in the, oops, excuse me. Maybe I care about, Travis and what he did. I click there, or maybe I care about a certain client and I want to know what Travis took for the Cindy Sparkles job, and it all shows up there as well. So lots of good filtering capabilities there. Company, general settings, this is where you go in and save your company name, how you set up your approvals, subscription and logo. We'll walk you through all of this on the onboarding session, but this gives you the capability to set all that up so that it's branded specifically for you. You set your time zone, time tracking. One of the questions we get a lot is what happens if our technicians don't have internet access? Tracknicity does work without internet access. You scan the product, you check it out, and as soon as you then have internet access from your device again, it syncs up with the web-based server. It's all cloud-based, so it works fine there. Inventory locations, this is where you set up your inventory locations and you set up your default. So we always recommend the warehouse as your default location. That means it populates on the first from tab there. But maybe you add a new van, so you need to add van 8 into the list here. You add van 8 and boom, it shows up there. You can go in and edit the names if you want to change the names, etc. Simple enough. Users, this is where you can add users. You can also give them admin rights. Requests is who receives the request. So if you remember back to the web demo, or excuse me, the mobile app demo where we were showing the requests that somebody receives for a custom request, this is who receives those requests and then can acknowledge them. So that's users. Total valuation just gives me a quick snapshot of my inventory. So I can see here that we were at 11,000. All of a sudden we went to 22,000. Well, I can look and say, hey, what happened here? I've got a good trending. It also shows me where my high dollar parts are in inventory. So I don't need to dive into QuickBooks and run a report. I've just got a quick dashboard here that shows me, hey, we've got a Mac Pro, $4,000, and we've got 9 IntelliX extenders. We got to figure out what we're going to do with those. QuickBooks integration is how you go and integrate with QuickBooks. You download the web connector file. And again, we walk you through this in the onboarding session that we will do. So that's effectively the demonstration and the overview of Tracknicity. What I'd like to do is go back to the presentation here. and share a couple last slides with you. So why is Tracknicity better than the other solutions that are out there? First of all, it works with QuickBooks out of the box. There's no customization necessary. You're not managing a separate database. You're simply accessing the data that you already have in QuickBooks today. It's inexpensive and easy to deploy. You can be up and running in a matter of days, if not hours. You have multi-location capabilities with no additional costs. And all of this gives you serial number tracking, MAC address, and free field tracking. There's no special hardware required. That saves you thousands in deployment costs. It's cloud-based and always available, even offline, as I mentioned earlier. It's super easy to use. It's a web-based interface and mobile app. It doesn't take a lot of training to be able to figure out. It's kind of a point-and-click type of infrastructure. It allows not only for stock requests, but for custom requests. So if something's not in inventory, you can still use Tracknicity to track it. The purchase order notification sends real-time information to people who need to know what's going on and when parts arrive. And it's easily manageable by end users and administrators with roles and restrictions to protect information. So if you don't want your technicians to see cost, you can do that. If you don't want them to be able to receive requests, you can do that. Gives you lots of rights as an administrator and a user. So if you're ready to get started with Tracknicity, we encourage you to do so. You've scheduled a free demonstration to see what it can do for you. So the next step would be to schedule a free onboarding session. The best way to do that is to email me, and my email address is right there, and we'll get you set up with the onboarding session as soon as possible. The onboarding session takes usually about an hour, and it's a good idea if you have your QuickBooks person there because they'll have a lot of questions as you go through this. And then you get a chance to try this for 30 days. It's free to try. We encourage everybody to give it a shot as you champion it through the organization. We know that's difficult, so we want to give you a chance to try it without having to buy it. It made a huge difference for our AV company to the point that we ended up launching it as its own entity, and the response that we've received has been tremendous. It's helping people recapture thousands of dollars in product that they were previously failing to bill for. It's made life easier for technicians to be able to check product out. It's taken the manual process of clipboards and spreadsheets away from everybody. It's been very, 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 very well received in the marketplace, particularly among D-Tools users. D-Tools, for those of you in the AV industry, as you're aware, doesn't do very good from an inventory standpoint. And we've had a lot of companies come to us and say, hey, we're deep with D-Tools, but we need something for inventory management. So Tracknicity partnered with D-Tools to be the inventory management solution for D-Tools. So if you're a D-Tools and QuickBooks user and looking for something for inventory management, Tracknicity is your best bet. So with that, I will end the conversation here. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. My email address is right there. You can also visit our website, www.tracknicity.com. Like I said, we encourage you to, if you've got any questions, to reach out to us and let us know. We'd love to let you try the software out. It can make a huge difference for your business. It saved us thousands and thousands of dollars. It's the best solution out there. It doesn't cost a lot to deploy. It doesn't cost a lot to maintain. I promise you, after using it for a couple of months, you'll be amazed that you ever survived without it. So with that, I look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you for your time today.